Well, Blake Lively's SHAM Subpoena is dragged back into court. Are things heating up again? Is her case about to crumble? Does Baldoni still have a chance? And what the heck went on with Diddy this morning? Seems like the prosecution's case is kind of crumbling at trial. Lots to get into. I hope you're ready for it. Let's dive in. You're listening to No Filter with Zack Peter, your go-to source for all the latest pop culture and reality TV tea, served fresh all week long. Now, let's dive in. What's up, guys? Welcome on in. Welcome on in. Welcome on in. How's everybody doing? Everybody in the club. What's going on? Happy Tuesday, Wednesday. Happy Wednesday, June 25th. What's going on, everybody? Hey. Oh, what a week. What a month. What an all of it. There's so much going on. I mean, obviously, we had our big town hall with the Tilted Lawyer and with Donna Bowling and Elsie and Lethal Lauren from Court of Random Opinion. And it was, we dissected a lot of that, but I mean, just outside of the Baldoni stuff, it's been an interesting month. It's been an interesting couple of weeks. Um, we're doing the damn thing. We're living life, right? Christina says, like and subscribe. Yes, guys, if you're enjoying the show, if you're enjoying the content, I love doing it. I love being here with you. I'm excited I get to meet a lot of you guys on tour this summer. I love you. I appreciate you. I know some people are disappointed that the Toronto show has been put on pause. That was not a sole decision that I made. I know we're in the process of rescheduling the New York show. Again, that was one decision that I was fighting hard against, but ultimately I have to listen to my team and I have to trust their guidance. And, I want to make this tour and this experience as, incredibly incredible as I can, because I'm so excited to see everybody. We kick off our first show in Dallas on July 11th. We have Colonel Kurtz, we have Leanne Locken, we have the Vanderpump Villa cast. Like, we have so many incredible pieces that are going to be worked into this tour, and I'm excited to see so many of you. I'm sad that we had to pause the Toronto show. Like I said, I'm hopeful that we can do a full Canada tour where we can include Toronto and Montreal. But yeah, I do. Listen, at the end of the day, I'm doing my best, and sometimes there are certain decisions that are not entirely in my control, but I promise I appreciate how much you have supported me and continue to support me. And I know, even just outside of my own personal stuff, just from, obviously, a lot of us have been fighting this Baldoni, you know, this lawsuit with Blake Lively, and we've been fighting for justice, and we did the Justice for Justice shirts campaigns. And I know a lot of creators and a lot of other people online right now are kind of feeling a little defeated now that Baldoni's seemingly thrown in the towel with his lawsuit. I know we're kind of speculating that maybe there's some hope for an appeal. We'll have to wait and see if there is any real shot at that, and where that's going to go, and what we can, hope to see come from that. I'm not giving up. I'm not throwing in the towel. I never did this as a fan of Baldoni's. I had no idea who he was to begin with. I always, from the get-go, called him a when he first came onto my radar. I was like, this guy kind of seems like some woke fake feminist or whatever. That I stood by that at the beginning, right? I was kind of going into this. I didn't trust Blake Lively. I didn't trust the New York Times article. I saw a lot of red flags that popped out for me in that, and I'm glad to say I was vindicated afterwards. But I certainly, took my "you hate women" beating, and I have continued to take that. And this week is a bit of a challenge, right? We have to call balls and strikes. And unfortunately, I was talking to Donna on the phone this morning, and I was telling her, I'm like, it feels like we were all amped because we went into, it feels like a football game. We were all, just as a parallel, as an example, right? Obviously, lawsuits of this magnitude are not comparable to a football game, but just from a stamina standpoint, I felt like we started the season strong and we were like, yes, we're absolutely going to the Super Bowl. Let's come March 2026. And then now it feels like we're mid-season and the team is starting to fumble the ball on the field, and it's like, "Oh, this isn't looking good," but you're still, like, loyal to your team, and I've always been very clear, I'm not loyal to any team in particular, but I'm loyal to the truth, and I believe, the truth was on Baldoni's side, and I, to this day, do not believe that, he did the things that he is being accused of doing. I don't believe that there was a smear campaign. I believe that it was an organic, viral, you know, internet reaction to Blake Lively. I think Kirsty Flaw's video was really what set the internet on fire, and that's when everybody began digging into everything. I don't think that that was calculated or orchestrated or PR planted. I think it was just an organic viral moment. The same way you see dances on TikTok go viral or trending audio go viral, it just things can very easily go viral if there's interest in them and the algorithm picks it up and then it takes on a life of its own. And I genuinely believe that's what happened. I don't believe there was a retaliation campaign. I think that there may have been, a crisis PR strategy of like, how do we navigate out of this should we get to that point? But I don't think the strategy was ever to annihilate Blake Lively's reputation during the promotion of the film when she's the lead actress and the face of the project. I just think that that would be a stupid thing to do all around. It wouldn't benefit the movie. It wouldn't help the success of the movie. It would hurt chances of bringing forth a sequel, especially when Lily's character is the forefront of the sequel, which Baldoni already held the rights to. It makes no sense that there would be any sort of smear or retaliation campaign, right? And then when it comes to the claims of harassment specifically, I mean, you look at the 17-point list, those are the allegations, those are the claims of harassment. And you read through each of those, and when you add context to a lot of them and you really start to reframe a lot of them, they are not as they're being described, right? They're completely misrepresented. The birthing video, the intimacy coordinator, uh the come into my trailer, I'm just pumping right now. All of these things that we've now the he smelled me and said I smelled good. And then he said, no, he was talking about your spray tan because you mentioned that you were insecure about it smelling funny. Just so many of these things, or the lip biting, and then we see multiple paparazzi street footage of her biting his lip and her pulling into his body into hers. And so, um, yeah, I don't believe that there was harassment at all. I don't think to any extent was there any sort of harassment. No. Not what she's claiming. I will stand on that. I believe that wholeheartedly. I do not believe that there was a smear campaign, but you have to admit this was not a good week for Baldoni. It just wasn't. I'm not giving up. I'm not throwing in the towel. I'm just saying we have to call balls and strikes. This is called no filter. I'm always going to keep it 100. And as much as we don't want to admit it, or you can disagree with me if you'd like and twist yourself into a pretzel to convince yourselves otherwise, but this was a win for Blake Lively. She's playing a smart legal strategy. I think Friedman is a settlement attorney, not a trial attorney, and I don't think he ever foresaw this going all the way to trial, and that's why he talks such a big game. I think he was really expecting to shake them down and get them to fold, and he threw everything, right? Like, that man fought. But also, I'm starting to feel like maybe he was a lot more talk than strategy. I think Tilted Lawyer kind of put some things into perspective for me in yesterday's show, where, he and even the Ask Two Attorneys guys started to see flaws in some of Baldoni's case. I think that they were hopeful that they would have an opportunity to amend, to clarify things when it came to defamation. But I think the judge was very clear that, like, you know, I know there's a theory going around that, like, they could be appealing in regards to, like, an affidavit, which I don't believe is true either. The judge, whether you wanna believe he's corrupt or bought off or whatever, he made a very strong decision to throw out the defamation case with prejudice. So that's dead in the water. Kinda just and that was, I think, the bulk of the case. But that's where, to me, it kind of was disappointing now to see they didn't file a second amended complaint. Friedman was so confident on his Megyn Kelly interview just last week. He's like, we're absolutely doing it. The judge basically gave us a roadmap on how to do that. We're going to be moving forward. And I kind of even sensed from Megyn in watching her interview with him, she was kind of shocked that he was even moving forward with those claims. Because to me, I'm not an attorney, and I kind of felt like they were weak claims to move forward with. And Megyn, who is an attorney, seemed to echo that same statement, same sentiment rather. And even though she didn't explicitly say it, I kind of felt like she was even reluctant to be like, oh, what? And so it kind of feels like he's a lot of talk and he's a big talker. But when you say you're going to sue Blake Lively into oblivion and you're going to absolutely file a second amended complaint and you speak with such confidence, and now we're seeing that your actions aren't living up to your words, it's you're fumbling the ball, and we have to be okay saying that. That does not mean we're giving up on Baldoni. That does not mean we're giving Blake the win, but she has won this month for sure. She did her victory tour, and I think we were reassured when Friedman's like, "It's not a victory tour. We're amending our complaint. Don't worry, we're moving forward." And now it's like, "Well, we're exploring every other legal option." It's like, "Well, you already told us you were suing her into oblivion, and that's done. You already told us you were filing a second amendment, and that's done. And now you're telling us you're going to explore every other legal avenue and all your other options." And it's like, I don't know, bro. I feel like you're kind of you're trying to instill faith in us when I feel like you're struggling here. I don't think he's playing chess. I don't think he has some card in his back pocket. I think it's delusional to think that he's got some big thing planned. I think that that's optimistic. I think that's wishful thinking. But I think, to be honest, right now, the team is probably scrambling to figure out what the best legal path forward is to just stay alive in this thing. Because again, I think that he thought if he can go as hard as he could and go scorched earth, that Blake would buckle and fold. And unfortunately, he underestimated the amount of money and the amount of um heat that Blake and Ryan can take, because they're moving forward. He's gonna have to pay out Leslie Sloan's attorney's fees. Kind of fumbled the ball with that one. Ryan Reynolds was the most shocking one, but we'll see what if there's an appeal and what that's gonna look like and what that's gonna mean. And again, that's still an uphill battle. But let's also not forget that Johnny Depp, it took him a while to beat Amber Heard, but we also have to remember Johnny Depp took his slaughtering in the press for a long time. His attorney wasn't out there doing the press tour and the victory laps that Friedman has done. And I think that's what gave us faith that Friedman had a really strong, smart strategy. And I think his strong, smart strategy, to be honest, was to really just buckle for a settlement. And listen, that's what he's good at. That's his strength. He's not a trial attorney, he's a settlement attorney. But it's not over. I'm going to continue to cover it. Not going away. Not going to stop fighting. But if anything, I know that a lot of us are kind of feeling a little defeated this week. But one, it's not over, and two, we can't forget the overwhelming amount of wins that we've gotten overall. Right? We've opened up a conversation about justice and about false allegations and about overcoming those things. And I mean, look at on this show alone, look at what we raised money for the nomore.org foundation, right? To help support survivors and give them resources and help people that are struggling with DV and SV. That's huge. We raised a ton of money. And I never said this. But I know I promised to pledge. I pledged 50% of my proceeds, but I actually donated 100% of my proceeds from the Mommy Sleuth, Daddy Sleuth, and Justice for Justin campaign. Um, which at the end of the day just kind of felt like the right thing to do. And I didn't tell you guys that. I did ultimately. I didn't feel like it needed, only because there was just so much criticism from all the Blake bots and like, well, he's just doing it for this and he's just doing it for that and he's making all this money off of this. And I was like, well, here, let me donate 50% of my proceeds. And then they were like, well, you're just doing it for a tax write-off and whatever. We opened up a dialogue. We fostered a conversation. We raised a lot of money. I mean, look at Elsie Elsrich had her campaign that she ran. Look at what Lauren from Court of Random Opinion, what she's been able to do with this. Like, we've been able to make such big gains for, survivors. And I think that's the more important thing. is we have to remember there are other wins outside of the courtroom that we've gotten, and, you know, there we go. Stacy says, "When the fat lady sings, then we can whine." Well, we'll see. Um, Once they wanted California ruling, I was skeptical. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's an uphill battle. I think Friedman really, really pushed us to believe that this was going to be, an all-out fight, and that we were going to come. No, I'm losing faith in Friedman. I have faith in Baldoni, but I'm losing faith in Friedman. He needs to get his head back in the game, because if he's not the right player for this, then we need to keep searching for someone that's going to help get us to the finish line. So Sarah says, we're in the same game. We might be seen as the underdog, but we're going to rally and kick to the last second field goal to win the game. I know, but here's my concern with that too, is I'm starting to sense the public, not us, because I know a lot of people are like, "Where are the Baldoni supporters?" Whatever. I'm starting to sense that the public is getting tired of Baldoni. And I think at the beginning, the public was ready for the takedown of Blake Lively, because they saw what a terrible person she was and what terrible people and Hollywood bullies that Blake and Ryan are. But now I think the public is so tired of hearing about this. And we have, what, another 8 months until trial, 9 months until trial. I don't know, guys. Like, I think the public might really end up turning on Belgium, not because they want them to, but I just looking at the landscape and seeing how fatigued people are with this case in general. I know we may not be, but we're a teeny tiny fraction of the general public when you really look at it. And sure, we're all loud on social media, but we're kind of in an echo chamber as well. When talking to people outside of us and outside of this show, I talk to people and they're kind of just like, "Oh, I'm so tired of hearing about that. Oh, is that over yet? Oh, this, oh, that." And so I think the constant headline driven of Blake and Baldoni, I think people are sick of just both of them. They don't even care about the details anymore. They think she lied, but then they're also tired of the fact that they have to keep hearing his name as well. And I understand that there's a bigger cause and there's justice that we're fighting for at the end of the day. But I think the longer this goes on, the tougher it gets and the worse the reputation blows for Blake, Ryan, and Justin. As much as we may not want to admit that, this hurts him as well to continue to drag this out so publicly. A lot of people are saying, is there a settlement? They think a settlement's brewing. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think Blake is looking at the landscape and seeing that she's winning, you know? She's winning, and when you're winning, you don't fold then. If she didn't fold when she was, feet to the fire, she's not folding anytime soon, unless something really, really comes out, you know? Laura says, Zach nailed it. The case is exhausting. The loss for Justin recently has lowered the morale about the case. I think as many followers of Blake and Ryan still have, none of this won't hurt them at all. They still have a name in Hollywood, and Hollywood's still protecting them. So that's the advantage that they have that Baldoni doesn't have. And I think that's why he has so many people behind him. Elena says the fatigue is real. Even I'm at a point where I want to hear about it when Justin hopefully gets justice. But in the meanwhile, I want to pay attention to other things. Yeah, it's kind of where I'm at. You know, Karen says, Zach, don't put that narrative out there that we're tired of hearing Justin's name. Stop. It's so not true. Listen, my love, we have to. I don't want the bullies to win either. I understand if you want to be ride or die hard for Justin. I'm ride or die hard for the truth. I believe the truth is on his side. I'm not putting out a narrative. I'm analyzing the landscape and looking at the reality of what's right in front of us, right? I'm not trying to plant the seed in anybody's head, but I think a lot of people in the live chat here are echoing the same sentiment, which to me, you know, I think people are tired of it. Until there's some big win, I think it's just kind of become fatiguing, you know? Stop saying that we're tired of hearing Justin's name. We may not be. You're not listening to me, my love. We may not be. You and I may not be. I'm starting to feel the fatigue. You may want to hear his name every day in a headline for the next 25 years. Good for you. What I'm saying is the general public is getting tired, you know? And that's the thing, is we're losing the public. We had the public on our side because Friedman was playing such a smart PR game, but we're losing the overwhelming majority of people right now because they're getting so tired of it. You and I may not be. but other people are. Judy says, I'm feeling the fatigue, right? Blake not posting her panic IG reels anymore. Yeah, I don't know. Justice for Justin. We're all looking for justice at the end of the day. All of us want justice at the end of the day. Ren says, imagine how Justin feels. Yeah. I mean, I think that's the only thing keeping me going is being like, listen, this man was wrongfully accused and I'm going to, fight as much as I can possibly fight. But like, you know, Nicolette says, I stopped watching videos after that loss. I want to continue to supporting Justin. He deserves justice in my mind, but I'm tired. Yeah. And I think it's because Friedman had us like all gung ho. We got this. We got this. We got this. We're doing this. We're doing this. We're doing this. We're going. We're going. We're going. And then it's like, ah. And then it's like, then it makes me be like, well, did he really believe that? Was he hoping that if the public was on his side, that would be a win enough? Like, ZM says, I don't think he'll want to stay in Hollywood. No. And I think Hollywood's going to completely turn on him and isolate him. Cat says the public is so fickle if you're not following the case. Exactly. The public does not care. Libby says, do you think Friedman went too hard too fast? Not at the beginning, because at the beginning I was like, oh, he's killing it. And again, had Blake settled and folded, he would have had a masterful plan. But now we're seeing Blake ain't folding. She's going to run in circles and talk in word salads and do as many legal filings and file as many motions to squash and motions to compel. And she just has a much savvier legal strategy, right? And I think her team was playing a long game, whereas Friedman was playing the short game. And, no, do you think he went too hard? Go fake yourself. Megan says, no, he didn't go too hard or fast, in my opinion. Yeah, I think he did. We're going to sue her into oblivion. Let me talk to TMZ. Let me talk to Megyn Kelly. Let me talk about, we're going to amend the complaint. All these things, right? All these things. Yeah. She's faulting the SHAM Vanzan lawsuit and Conway. She ain't faulting. Yeah. She had the Vanzan lawsuit. Listen, and she's playing within these technicalities. I'm sure Friedman is researchers on 47.1. His caliber is not easily swayed by new law. Imagine the cases he's handled and won before. Yes, but his track record is more so in the settlements. That's where his strength is in bending people to get them to settle. But really quickly, let's cut to a message from this week's sponsors, and then we'll get into the Vanzan subpoena, and we'll get into the latest plot twist with Diddy, because that's, oy vey, another one. Ever wonder why your brain feels foggy even when you're eating and exercising? It might not be burnout. It could be parasites. Groundbreaking research from Dr. Alan McDonald revealed a direct link between chronic parasitic infections and neurological diseases like multiple sclerosis. Parasites can cause inflammation, nerve damage, and long-term cognitive decline. More reason to do a full body cleanse at least once a year. The Wellness Company has a solution for you. Ivermectin plus mebendazole, the gold standard parasite solution now combined in one cleanse combo designed to eliminate harmful invaders and support your immune system naturally. Medical grade, not some trendy herbal gimmicks. Fill out a quick intake form and get a 3-month supply shipped straight to your door. Maha is officially here, and the Wellness Company is making hard-to-get medications digitally accessible so you can live your best life. Head to twc.health/nofilter and use code NOFILTER for $90 off plus free shipping on all orders. Cleanse your body today. Summer is officially here, and I don't know about you, but are you sick of drinking your calories or of waking up hungover? Sometimes having drinks can be fun, but I'm glad that I found an alternative that lets me feel great in the moment and the next morning. And that's the out of office gummies from Soul. Sometimes you just need a little something, right? Something in the middle of the day to help you get through your inbox, or something at the end of the day to, kind of make your evening a little more enjoyable. And that's where today's sponsor, Soul, can help. Soul is a wellness brand that believes feeling good should be fun and easy. Soul specializes in delicious hemp-derived THC and CBD products designed to boost your mood, and help you unwind. Their best selling out of office gummies were designed to provide a mild, relaxing buzz, boost your mood, and enhance creativity and relaxation. And if you like their out of office gummies already, you got to try their new out of office beverages. It's a refreshing, alcohol free alternative. Perfect for summer sipping. Plus, so has so many other amazing wellness products with or without THC, including a variety of gummies, capsules, and they can help with anything from sleep to stress, pain, focus, bloating, and more. Bring on the good vibes and treat yourself to Soul today. Right now, Soul's offering my audience 30% off your entire order. Go to getsoul.com and use the code NOFILTER. That's getsoul.com, promo code NOFILTER for 30% off. All right. Well, in some positive news when it comes to Lively and Baldoni, we have a new motion to compel. Now, this is Friedman did say that there were other avenues that he was looking to pursue legally, and this may be one of them because it seems Blake Lively wasn't willing to turn over the Vanzan sham lawsuit subpoena, that whole drama. But apparently, Friedman is no longer looking to go through Blake Lively. Friedman is now looking to go through Jennifer Abel and Stephanie Jones. So obviously, Stephanie Jones and Jennifer Abel have their own lawsuit. They're battling it out, the publicists, right? And so now they're trying to get Jennifer Abel to turn over the Van Zan lawsuit. So, defendant and counterclaimant Jennifer Abel respectfully moves for an order compelling the production of documents from non-party Vanzan Inc. in response to a document subpoena served by Jennifer Abel on April 21st, 2025. So they've been trying to get this from Baldoni's been trying to get this from Blake, and it seems like Abel's been trying to get this from Jones and Jones' work. This motion is brought following the written exchange of emails and a Zoom meeting in which Abel narrowed the subpoena document requests. However, disputes remain that require the court's attention. Abel's claims against Jones' work and its principal, Stephanie Jones, collectively Jones, center on the allegations that in August 2024, just prior to Abel's scheduled departure from Jones' employee, Jones seized Abel's cell phone and accessed and downloaded the contents in anticipation of litigation against Abel and other Wayfair parties. Jones collaborated with Blake Lively to contrive a mechanism for Lively to obtain the data that Jones had pirated from Abel's phone and cloud documents, including confidential and privileged text messages, which are the centerpiece of this dispute. This was accomplished through a subpoena issued in a sham action captioned Van Zan v. Does 1 through 10. Filed in the New York Supreme Court on September 27th, 2024, the Vanzan action. Abel is informed and believes that Vanzan is a shell company owned and controlled by Lively and or her husband, Ryan Reynolds. The facts speak for themselves. The Vanzan complaint asserted only a bare bones breach of counterclaim, breadth of factual allegations against 10 Doe defendants who, although the parties to an allegedly breached contract with Vanzan, were never named or served. There is no conceivable link between Abel and Vanzan or the unspecified contract that the Doe defendants allegedly breached. In other words, Vanzan has no discernible need for the information Jones obtained from Abel's cell phone. After the Vanzan subpoena's return date, the Vanzan action was dismissed without any other proceedings and without ever having requested the assignment of a judge. The Vanzan subpoena opened the door for Lively to obtain the documents Jones extracted from Abel's phone without notice to Abel or the Wayfair parties against whom Lively intended to use the information. Lively produced at least some of the information during discovery, confirming that the sham Vanzan action was successful in facilitating the transfer of Abel's data to Lively prior to the filing of Lively's claims against Abel and the Wayfair parties. Lively's lawyers have publicly acknowledged and defended the sham Vanzan action and subpoena, declaring there is nothing untoward here, just conscientious and thorough investigation, and characterizing the Vanzan action and subpoena as common tools that are entirely lawful and appropriate for pursuing claims and uncovering the identity of unknown perpetrators of unlawful activities. Arguing the end should justify the means, Lively's lawyers admitted the Vanzan action and subpoena enabled them to access Abel's text messages. Such tactics are hardly common and appropriate, whereas here the lawsuit is a sham. The subpoena is intended to obtain information irrelevant to the proceeding in which it issued, and most egregiously, the purpose of the subpoena was either to obtain privileged and confidential information without notice to Abel or to cover up Jones's prior disclosure of Abel's confidential and privileged information to Lively before the subpoena was even served. Abel remains in the dark as to whether Jones actually produced documents in response to the Vanzan subpoena and whether the Vanzan subpoena were merely a smokescreen to conceal Jones's prior disclosure of Abel's information, the conduct at the core of Abel's claims. Abel has now subpoenaed Vanzan for documents relating to the Vanzan subpoena and release of Abel's stolen information to Lively. Abel's original subpoena included 11 categories. During the meet and confer process, Abel agreed to withdraw 6 of the original requests and substantially narrowed the remaining 5 requests. Vanzan has rebuffed this overture and refused to produce any of the requested documents. Abel now seeks an order compelling the production of documents responsive to 5 of the 11 requests set forth in the subpoena. Of those 5 requests number 1, 4, and 9 through 11, Abel now moves to compel the following documents. 1, a copy of the Vanzan subpoena served on Jones in the sham Vanzan action, a subsequent request, a subset of request 10. 2, the documents Jones produced in response to the Vanzan subpoena, a subset of subpoena request 11. 3, communications between Vanzan and Jones and or their respective counsel about the Vanzan action, a subsequent request of 9. 4, documents sufficient to show that Vanzan's organizational structure, request 1. And 5, documents sufficient to identify Vanzan's shareholders, a subset of request 4. Interesting. So they want to know who the shareholders are, which I would assume then identify Blake Lively. They want to know the organizational structure of the company. Kind of seems standard. If it's a real company, then they should have some sort of, I don't know, company outline of like who works and what companies and what employees they have there, or what contractors work for them, or who their management team is, what they do, how they operate, like just some sort of information on Van Zandt. And now they want all communications between Van Zandt and Jones. So obviously Jones would not have turned them over, all this over to Blake Lively. It would have been turned over to Van Zandt. So whatever Jones gave to Van Zandt, Jones now has to produce. Jones had no problem giving this information to Van Zandt, which was ultimately used by Blake Lively against Baldoni and the Wayfair parties. So yeah, give us all the documents and all the communications with Van Zandt, right? Because that's the violation with the privacy of the messages or just the documentation that was turned over. It's wild. Stephanie Jones had absolutely no objection to this. She's like, here, Judge, have it. Or sorry, here, Lively, have it. Here, Van Zandt, have it all. Drop the subpoena. Let's see it. And drop all the documents related to the subpoena. And drop all your communications with those attorneys. Do it. Do it. Do it. The letter continues. Rule 26B1 provides that the parties may obtain discovery regarding any non-privileged manner that is relevant to the parties' claims and defense and proportional to the needs of the case. Relevance under Rule 26 is okay, so this is just contextual information. The 5 requests at issue, as modified, are narrowly crafted to reach documents relevant to Abel's claims that Jones misappropriated confidential and privileged information from Abel's confiscated phone and accessed Abel's cloud accounts to monitor Abel's activities after Abel departed from Jones in violation of the federal wiretapping statutes. The requests are also relevant to Abel's allegation that Jones relayed the data she obtained from Abel's phone to Lively prior to service of the subpoena, and that the sham Van Zandt action and subpoena were devised to allow Jones to hide behind an allegedly lawful subpoena. Van Zandt's organizational documents and documents identifying its owners are relevant to show whether, as Abel alleges, Lively and or her proxies own or control Van Zandt and were participants in a scheme for Jones to transfer the information through a sham complaint without notice to Abel or an opportunity to object. So it seems like they want to draw Blake Lively into this Abel versus Jones lawsuit, is kind of what I'm gathering, right? The requests are also relevant to Abel's allegations that Jones relayed the data she obtained from Abel's phone to Lively prior to the service of the subpoena. Okay, so here they're claiming that they believe Jennifer Abel had already provided these text messages or information to Blake Lively prior to the subpoena, and that the subpoena was devised to allow Jones to hide behind an allegedly lawful subpoena. So they're claiming what they believe happened is that Jones already gave them the info, and then to make it seem like the transfer of info was legit, this is why they want the communications between Stephanie Jones and Vanzan. Interesting, because if there are pieces missing in that communication, then we need to get back to the origin of what those communications were. I think they would need communication between Stephanie Jones and Blake Lively and her attorneys outside of Van Zandt, if that's kind of the allegation that they're making. Abel more than meets the low threshold necessary to establish relevance for purposes of discovery. It is up to the responding party, Van Zandt, to justify curtailing discovery. Van Zandt's refusal to produce any of the requested documents is based on an undue burden objection, and that the documents can be obtained from a party to this action. Jones. First, Van Zandt cannot establish the factual basis for its alleged undue burden objection with competent evidence. I heard that. Van Zandt's second objection fails because there's no rule that party sources must be exhausted before calling upon third parties to produce relevant discovery. So they're saying that Van Zandt should be able to turn this over because they don't need to go through Stephanie Jones. They can go through Stephanie Jones, but they want to go directly through Van Zandt. Let's see. Further still, as Abel is alleging a sham scheme, it is imperative that she obtain documents directly from both Van Zandt and Jones to confirm what the actual subpoena requested, what was produced, and what communications Van Zandt had with Jones about the Van Zandt action. Finally, Van Zandt's organization and ownership documents are not available from Jones, but only from Van Zandt. Very good point. For the foregoing reasons, the court should order Van Zandt to comply and produce the requested documents without further objection or delay. Van Zandt also objected on attorney-client privilege, work product, and confidentiality grounds. The narrowing of the request eliminates the application of those objections. To the extent confidentiality concerns remain, the documents can be marked pursuant to the protective order. Respectfully, Ellen S. Garofalo. And Brian Friedman's on there as well. And this is Linner Friedman, Tatelman, Cooley, LLP. Well, good job, Ellen. Let's hope that this works. Let's hope that this helps. Let's hope that this gets us somewhere. Let's hope that it gets us somewhere. We shall see. We shall see. It sounds very much like folks are packing it in. Yeah, I mean, listen, these are other legal strategies that they can pursue. And I think they will probably, a big piece of this case is contingent on this Van Zandt subpoena and this alleged, action that Van Zandt took against these 10 Jane or John Does. That lawsuit is crucial. There's, really important information that can help determine whether or not there was any malice here. It can entirely get that the text messages taken out if they were unlawfully obtained, then it can be omitted in court, which would then completely obliterate Blake's smear campaign allegations. So we'll see what happens. So it does appear that Friedman does still have other options. We're just gonna have to wait and see. Copper Mountain 32 says, if this happens, I don't know about you, but I see Ryan leaving Blake under the bus. Oh, 1000%. I think Ryan will absolutely turn on Blake because he has a way out, right? He can say, oh, I was just believing my wife. I just believed her. Cassidy O'Connell just shared a post on YouTube with another song called Van Shan Inc. And it's the perfect in light of the latest news. Yay. It's called The Fight for a Reason. There are going to be some back and forth. We all knew the law favored her defamation, so why are we all in tears? We're not in tears, Stacey. We're just accepting that this was a rough week. This was an important game mid-season, and we're fumbling the ball here. Not every game is going to be perfect. You're going to lose some, but we're hoping to get to the finals. We're hoping to make it to the Super Bowl, right? Which is the trial come March. Zach, many of us are here remaining positive. I'm remaining positive too, but I'm also trying to be realistic about this. Um, Dana says, "Who wants to bet the judge is going to deny this?" That's where it's really gonna be a big this Vanzan action is a big one, and I'm hoping that's not being positive. I'm hoping that the judge allows that to move forward because there isn't any sort of privilege that would protect those documents, especially if it's appearing that those documents were filed under false pretenses, right? So, we'll see. It is not over. It's not over. It's not over. But this we have to lick our wounds here. Susan says, I still believe that this has everything to do with Ryan's jealousy and insecurity. I believe that too. I think Ryan was insecure about Baldoni, and I think he's a big part of this as well. um, is Ellen the trial attorney you mentioned yesterday, and Friedman typically goes for settlements? Yes, I believe so. Lyman needs to go if this goes to criminal charges. Do we get a different judge? I believe so. Gwen says there needs nothing to be denied till discovery. I agree. I agree. The fact that it was paused midway through discovery is really big. Jenny says, Zach, I'm late. Did you cover Crystal Ball's report that the Daily Mail producer may be withdrawing his affidavit grounds on duress? Okay, so I don't know. First of all, I blocked her. I don't follow her. I don't care about her. I think she's a terrible person. And the lies that she spread about me um, were completely out of line and things that I don't take very lightly. So I don't like to speak about her very much because I don't believe that she um, operates with any sort of moral integrity. And I think she's willing to throw other creators under the bus in very vile ways that is disrespectful to what we all do. And even though she deleted her posts that she put about me and the false allegations she made about me discriminating against her son, which are fucking disgusting, the fact that she would even say that, um, just because what she got warped up in her own political agenda, fucking bullshit. The things that she wrote about me were false, defamatory, and vile. So I don't take that lightly. I don't like that person. I've given her credit when she's covered a story, but if you want me to talk about her Vituska thing. I don't understand her argument when it comes to Vituska. I think she posted something about, grounds for an appeal if, a decision is made based off of a coerced affidavit. But Judge Lyman made it very clear that he did not deny, or he did not throw out the defamation allegations based off of Vituska's affidavit. He dismissed Baldoni's lawsuit based on the litigation privileges that Blake Lively had, right? The statements that she made, whether they're true or false, whether they're defamatory or not, are irrelevant because they're protected speech. They're protected because she filed them in her California CRD complaint, her Civil Rights Department complaint. So the case was tossed out based off of the litigation privilege, not based off of Vituska swaying the judge. James Vituska, who's the reporter at the Daily Mail, his affidavit was really just to kind of help him and possibly help Leslie Sloan. But at the end of the day, I don't think his affidavit was the straw that broke the camel's back. At the end of the day, the judge leaned into the litigation privilege that Blake Lively has. So I don't think that that would necessarily be grounds for appeal, you know? The judge says it should be appealed, and I believe that it will be. Friedman is going to hold his cards close. Biased judge. Yeah, I think at this point, the smarter thing for Friedman to do is to stop playing the press game. Listen, we didn't have the press game with Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp lied dead on the floor for as long as he needed to until it was time to fight it out in court. And I think Friedman needs to stop playing the PR game now. We did that. It didn't work. It won a lot of the public won a lot of the public over, but you're going to lose the public if you keep over, exposing Baldoni to the public. They're just gonna get tired of it. So, I do believe that whatever game or whatever strategy Friedman's gonna play, he needs to play it a lot smarter and keep his cards a lot closer to the chest. Zach stands on business, period. I'm always gonna stand on business. Um, Judy says, "I don't blame you. So sorry she said those things about you. She doesn't like a good person, so I avoid. She doesn't sound like a good person." Yeah, she literally said that I discriminated against her autistic son, which first of all, fuck the absolute fuck off. How dare you? Anybody that knows me or that is familiar with any of my work knows that I have fought for the autism community for what, well over a decade. I've been fundraising. I mean, my past, what I used to do before this was in nonprofit fundraising, helping families affected by autism. My brother has autism. I've openly shared our story. For some bitch to go on the internet and weaponize that against me is such fucking bullshit. It was so hurtful. It was so like just, I mean, I'm trying to not allow my emotions to get the best of me in this, but it is so fucking sick that somebody can go on the internet and post blatantly false, ridiculous shit like that. I didn't even know she had a son. I don't know anything about her. And from what I hear, I don't know, there's speculation around that situation. I didn't know she had a son. I didn't know he had autism. I've never said anything about her son. I've never done anything to her or about her. The reason I blocked her on Instagram is because there was a post that I made that was about my brother. Okay. It was a post about my brother, who is a 23-year-old young man with, you know, a more advanced version of autism, right? Unfortunately, my brother doesn't have a lot of the luxuries that a lot of the people that are now self-diagnosing themselves and coming out on the internet and talking about their experience. My brother doesn't have those luxuries. You can't hold a full conversation with him. He will never live on his own. He will never hold a job on his own. Those are realities that we've had to accept. I love him. I will always fight for him. I will always push him towards his best potential and help him live his best life. Absolutely. So I'm sorry. How dare you post those things on the internet and thinking just hitting control alt delete is going to fix it? Fuck that and fuck you. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. That was a disgusting thing what she did, and I do not want to support that woman anymore. I had nothing against her. I've never had any sort of beef with her. I was never in a fight with her. I've made a post, a video about my brother. She went into the comments. She was fighting with other moms that have autistic children. And I didn't like that. So I blocked her. I don't like when people come into my comments and want to fight with other moms about something that affects all of us so personally. So that's the real reason she got blocked, is because she was being vile towards other mothers in my comments. So I blocked her on my page. No question, no conversation, nothing. It was an immediate block. And I stand by that. And I don't want to unblock her. I don't want that person in my life. And because I blocked her, for writing some mean comments on a video where you can clearly even hear me getting emotional about my brother, sorry, that's not warranted of the shit she posted about me on the internet. So you know what? Fuck that. Not going to play that game. Not going to do it. I'm sure somebody will clip that out and put it on Reddit. And at this point, I don't even give a shit. I haven't talked about it. I haven't talked about her. And today's just not the day. Cat says that my son is the same as your brother. Listen, it's hard. These are personal things. And for people to weaponize that is just, it's sick. It's disgusting to weaponize something like that for what? Because you want to earn some brownie points to stand on your political business. Fuck off. Literally, fuck off. Just Josh says, "Not today." Say it. Not today. Say it. Not today. Sorry. Let me take a breath. Um. Yeah. I mean, listen. This had happened. This is what, back in April. I didn't say anything. I didn't. And listen, I also want to be very clear. I don't want anybody to walk out of this live and send any negativity towards her at all. I don't want you guys in her comments. Please don't do that. That is not how we operate here. Okay. This is something that affected me very personally. It hurt me very deeply to see somebody spread those lies about me on the internet and then to just in 24 hours control alt delete as if what, you didn't do the damage that was already there. That's some Blake Lively fucking shit. And I don't play with that. Right. But I also want to be very clear. I want to be very clear. I don't want anybody here to go and send any sort of negativity to her. That is not what we do. If that's what her and her community do, that's fine. I'll take my beatings accordingly, whatever. I'm a big boy. I can handle myself, and I'm not going to go on the internet and cry about it. Okay. But what I will say is, I don't want anybody here, if you are a real part of this community, if you are a Zack Pack member, I don't want you to go and leave any sort of negativity. I want to be very clear about that. That is some low vibe shit that we don't do here. Okay. It's not what we do. We stay focused on the things that are important. We stay focused on trying to be on the right side of history. We screw up sometimes. We fumble the ball. We have a big mouth. But you know what? At the end of the day, we do what, we don't put that negativity out there in the world. We're not your dragons, and she won't be dragging your name. Yeah. Let's talk Diddy, because I think that's all I have about the Vanzan subpoena stuff. Sierra says we're better than that, Zach. Don't worry. Obviously, a sad person, but we're not. So we'll soldier on. All smiles. Yes, we have too much good happening in our lives to get caught up with the bullshit. Okay. That said, let's talk Diddy. Other shocking news. Look at Donna says it. Diddy is walking so fast he'll be running the LA Marathon this year. Yeah. So I've expressed my concerns about the Diddy case from what we've seen play out in trial. I know Colonel Kurtz has been very vocal about it. I know she's been on the show and we've kind of discussed it a bit. And I was very clear. I was like, the charges that they have against Diddy I don't feel like they're making the strongest case. And then guess what? Today, we got a new headline in TMZ. Prosecutors in the Diddy trial want to dumb down elements of RICO charge, simplifying for the jury's sake. Oh, I'm sure that's why. TMZ writes, in a stunning move the day before closing arguments in Diddy's federal criminal trial in New York City, prosecutors have pulled back on some key testimony during the trial, specifically attempted kidnapping, attempted arson, and aiding and abetting sex trafficking. So listen, I said that those were not strong charges from the beginning. And now that the prosecution is pulling this and withdrawing or pulling back some of their charges against Diddy, tells me exactly that I was right. That the case was not very strong. They overhyped it in the press. I don't think that Diddy bought anybody off. I just think the case that we saw play out in court, and I was always like skeptical because I was like, it's hard. We're not actually able to watch this trial live. We're just going based off of court transcripts. But now that, you know, we're getting to closing arguments, I was like, all right, this is going to be it. And people always say, well, the feds always win. The feds never lose a case. Well, the feds are dropping a lot of these claims, a lot of these charges, because I don't think they have a strong case. I said that from the beginning. People got mad at me. Like, you want Diddy to walk. Ooh, a Baldoni supporter now wants to support Diddy. I don't want to fucking support Diddy. I think Diddy is a deplorable man. But I always said racketeering, the RICO charges Diddy was facing were a bit of a stretch. We weren't seeing any real racketeering. And so now here we are. So TMZ writes, prosecutors are not pursuing the attempted arson claim that Diddy blew up Kid Cudi's car in a jealous rage, right? Because it was the Molotov cocktail that burned his seat. And we're like, what? We thought that the car blew up. And then that wasn't actually the case. Okay. Said that, which now kind of invalidates a lot of Kid Cudi's testimony. During the trial, prosecutors never directly linked Diddy to the fire because they couldn't. They had no person that was able to actually prove that Diddy was behind the fire. It was all speculation. You need to be able to prove these things beyond a reasonable doubt. I'm saying this from the beginning. Both of these charges are related to the racketeering or RICO charges Diddy faces. As far as the aiding and abetting trafficking charge, prosecutors don't explain what elements of trafficking they will 86 from the jury's instructions. Prosecutors are not dropping the various sex trafficking charges, only elements of them, and specifically aiding and abetting. Prosecutors do say that the letter they want an instruction that just because women, Cassie and Jane, gave prior consent in these acts, it does not mean that it can never be withdrawn. Prosecutors say that the jurors should be told just because a woman received compensation does not preclude a finding of forced labor, which relates to trafficking. As for the trafficking, prosecutors want jurors to know neither physical restraint of the alleged victims nor commercial acts are required to prove coercion in trafficking. They're trying, yeah. I mean, TMZ was right. They're trying to dumb down the case for the jury because I think they don't think that they. I think the jury is probably giving them real cause to believe that they're not going to rule in their favor. They're going to rule in Diddy's favor because I don't think that they had the strongest case. So they're going to try to get a win where they can get a win. But when you start chopping things down, it doesn't look good. That's like Blake when she dropped her emotional distress, right? Her intentional infliction of emotional distress claims didn't look good. When you're dropping those pieces, it shows that you're simplifying things because you're worried. It's the reality. So Diddy's trial is not looking so hot. I mean, maybe if they drop some of these RICO claims, they can get some sort of win. I don't think it's the win that they were hoping for, but I don't know. Copper Mountain 32 says the only way Diddy will go away is if children came forward and said he abused them. When Bieber came out and said no, it was all over. No Oprah or big people put out there. Yeah. Yeah, people were connecting him to Biggie. People were connecting him to Oprah and Ellen and Bieber and the Kardashians and all of that stuff. All of that stuff. Basically, they have garden variety claims against him. Sure. That's one way to put it. People are afraid of Diddy and people are showing that they are afraid of Ryan and Blake. I think people may be afraid of Diddy, but like if there was any time for them to fight back, it would have been now. And the feds could have should have been an easy slam dunk for the feds, right? They had everything. They raided his house. They had all the videotapes and the footage, so we'll see. Christina says Rico is proven, Zach, but who knows if the jury was paid off? I don't think the jury was paid off. Let's be very clear. You don't start slashing key parts of your claims if the jury was paid off because you're not going to get that anyway. I don't think the jury was paid off. I don't think the jury was convinced. Is the reality. We'll see. How did JLo not get dragged? Yeah, how did JLo not get dragged in? So many other people, so many fumbles here. This case brought out shit you cannot unhear. Yeah. Yeah. I heard some crazy stuff happen with content creators who talked about Diddy, like people showing up to their house and shit. I mean, everybody's gonna come with some sort of like you have to take those stories with a grain of salt, you know? LA fires got rid of everything. No, guys, we're not feeding those conspiracy theories. I don't think the LA fires were intentionally set to protect Diddy. Think they are watching this jury closely. Maybe. If I was a juror, I'd see all the revenge and be scared. I don't know. Stop with the conspiracy. Yes, please stop with the conspiracy theories. I don't think they help anyone or anything unless there's like some legitimacy to them. But yeah, I think that's where we're at. So yeah, we shall see. We will wait and we will see. And hopefully there will be, some exciting additions soon. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed today's episode. I know there was a lot to dive into with the Baldoni stuff. Always keeping it 100, always trying our best to keep it real. Yeah, but if you haven't done so yet, guys, get your tickets. Go to nofilterlive.com and get your tickets. Come see Leanne Locken from The Real Housewives of Dallas. Leanne Locken is going to be on stage with me in Dallas. It's going to be fun. We're going to have a blast. We're going to spill lots of tea. But in addition to Leanne Locken, I'm also going to have the cast of Vanderpump Villa. Hannah, Aiden, and Hagen are going to be on stage with me. This is July 11th in Dallas, Texas. You can get your tickets to a live taping of No Filter with Zack Peter. It's going down. It's going down. It's going to be a good time. Because we're also going to have Colonel Kurt's there on stage, and I'm pretty sure there will be lots to talk about with Kristen, aka Colonel Kurtz, on stage about Diddy, about Blake and Baldoni. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to catch up with Leanne Locken on stage. It's going to be fun to get the tea from Hannah, Aiden, and Hagen from Vanderpump Villa. I'm pretty sure they're going to have some Mormon wives tea to spill. It's going to be a good time. So get your tickets at nofilterlive.com. July 11th in Dallas, Texas is where we're going to kick things off. And not only that, but then, guys, we also have Booyah. We have Andy Signori from Popcorn Planet and Lauren from Lethal Lauren from the Court of Random Opinion. That's going to be a good time. That is on July 13th in Phoenix, Arizona. So, and I do have to give Andy his flowers because I know yesterday on the episode we were a little skeptical about Andy's statement from Brian Friedman, and now it appears that the statement is getting picked up everywhere. People published it. TMZ finally published it. They published it way after the fact. So we have to give Andy his credit because he was the first one to run with the statement and to run with that story. So there you go. Also, I mean, why not? If you guys want to buy tickets, we have to give Andy his flowers. And if you use code Andy, you'll get 25% off. Let's throw that out there. So go get your tickets at nofilterlive.com. Come see Andy and Lauren. It's going to be fun. We got Dallas, July 11th. We have we have Phoenix on July 13th. That's going to be a lot of fun. If you like all of your content creators, then get ready because we have Chicago on July 27th with Chef Stu O'Keefe and Donna Bowling. You guys love when I have Donna and Stu on the show. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And not just that, we also have we got Jenny McCarthy in Chicago, July 27th. Jenny McCarthy, No Filter Live. Come on out. It's going to be fun. It's going to be yummy. It's going to be a good time. So get your tickets at nofilterlive.com. We have shows in Phoenix, Dallas, Chicago, New York. We have Seattle. We have Los Angeles. So go and get your tickets right now at nofilterlive.com. Philly, Ariana says, I just want Stu to hug me closely. What a fun time. MC High Life says, Kim from Popcorn Planet might go and see you. I think she's coming to Dallas. I think she's the one that actually got Lethal Lauren from Court of Random Opinion. To come to the Phoenix show. So that's going to be fun. I believe Kim is coming to the Phoenix show. I may be wrong about that, but we'll see. Yeah. All right, guys. I love you. I appreciate you. Get your tickets at nofilterlive.com. Nofilterlive.com. Go right now. Get your tour tickets, and I will see you on the road. Give me a follow at Just Plain Zack. Follow the podcast at No Filter with Zack. And be sure to check out an all-new episode of The Pop Report, which is out right now. New episode of The Pop Report. We talk Diddy. We talk Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom's breakup. We talk, what else do we talk? We talk about a lot. We talk about Orlando. We talk about Diddy. There's lots of tea that we get into. We talk about VidCon. So go and check that out. Tune into The Pop Report now on all your favorite podcast platforms. I will talk to you tomorrow. Happy Wednesday. Enjoy the day. Ciao for now. Bye.